Okay, I wanted to talk to you a bit about how the lobbying world works and what's going on with the federal taxes. This is one of the most complicated and sophisticated parts of the entire Washington lobbying scene, and millions of dollars are spent every year trying to affect, the outcome of these little tax provisions that are put in the budget. This is in the analytical perspectives volume of the budget, 110-page section here. I'm just going to hit some quick highlights here. We're all talking about the receipts, the various taxes. Once again, individual income taxes far outweighing corporate income taxes. We see individual income taxes rising over time, which is you would expect with economic growth, and same with corporate income taxes, not at the same rate, however. And then Social Security taxes tracking the individual income tax. So what this is a resource for you if you ever have to cover an aspect of tax policy, if there's Walmart is trying to get some sort of break, through for reducing to hire new workers that come out of prison. They might get a tax break to offset their training costs. There are things like that. There are just numerous, provisions in here. We have a whole narrative on what happened with tax legislation in the previous year. The various laws that were actually passed, FAA modernization, and the various tax things that are part of that. This was the big bill that the Republicans, were able to get through. Middle class tax relief bill, which Obama signed under pressure. And so anyway, we're going to go through this very quickly just to let you know that that is there. And I'm going to zip down to the new provisions in this. So here, this is the section, let me start up here, where the president is now describing new provisions in his budget proposal for the 2014 fiscal year that would have new taxes. And so he's spelled out a whole bunch of stuff to bring in new revenue, and a lot of it involves hitting up the oil companies and reducing the tax breaks that they've had for many years. One of them is reducing fossil fuel tax preferences. This is a very big deal when we look at the fossil fuel tax provisions. We're talking about billions of dollars. Here is his idea of trying to build up a revenue neutral business tax reform. When they say revenue neutral, they mean that there will be tax increases on some people and tax reductions on others, and it will offset each other. He's talking about creating incentives for alternative fuels that would cost $2 billion, modifying energy efficient commercial building property, another $5 billion. Overall, $142 billion in tax breaks for clean energy and so forth. Tax relief for businesses in the way of we're looking at $188 billion, primarily coming from a little item here to help with small businesses. So who gets hammered here? The big banks do, in reforming the international tax system. They raised taxes to the order of $157 billion by modifying foreign tax credits, and the rest. More on international banks getting hammered here. Here is where the oil companies are asked to pay additional $41 billion by reducing their tax breaks. So when you reduce a tax break, It raises your operating costs because you can no longer write off the cost of doing business for the government, basically put. Um, so there you go. Each one of these things is a story for us. These categories, this is what, lobbying and tax reporters and investigative reporters will find out who's behind this, who's fighting it, who are the coalitions on either side, and who is setting up the campaign fundraisers and the lobbying events to try to position themselves to oppose and these various things. Let's see, just zip through this massive, humongous document. Okay, yeah. So here is just this affects budget proposals. This table is like a cheat sheet for what is happening in the tax system and the big lobbying fights that are up, to come. This is basically, what I would focus on for basically the entire year, just going through this list and finding out who's behind all these things, and even the small ones would actually have some really interesting stories. So here we see that the upper income people are going to be asked to pay almost $500 billion in new taxes by reducing the value of some tax expenditures. Wealthy people who the estate tax will be asked to pay another $8 billion. So this is the stuff that was all behind the 2012 campaign rhetoric between Obama and Romney. It was really right here. This is where it met the road. Two visions of government, Romney wanting to reduce taxes, certainly not to do anything to raise them on the wealthy, and Obama believing that the wealthy need to pay their fair share to get the government up and running. So that is basically a very quick overview of the federal receipts and the analytical perspectives and why it is such an incredible lobbying story.